Hey everybody, welcome to another exciting episode of NC-17. My name is Josh, and today with us we have a very impactful writer and director who has a plethora of movies out there. We got Brandon Rhiness. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me on the show.
Oh yeah, no, thank you for coming on. You know, uh, so I've definitely seen some of your work, which we will be getting into. Uh, I'm sure you've seen the other interview I've done.
Yes.
But before we do that, kind of take us back a little bit. What really got you into wanting to be a writer and a director, and what really put you on the path to where you are today?
Basically, like I've always been writing as back as far as I can remember when even in kindergarten, however old you are when you first learn how to write, I was writing. I used to write these Star Wars stories that were like maybe 5 sentences long. That's as long as I could write at the time, and so it's something I've always done. And then it was when I was in grade four, I wrote this story. I had this dream that I got kidnapped and I had to escape the kidnappers. And I was like, that's a cool story. So I turned it into this short story, and I asked my English teacher if I could read it to the class. And I did, and everyone thought it was the best story ever. And I was popular for maybe half an hour. And so something kind of clicked where I was like, oh, like I write things that apparently people like. So from then on, it's never left my mind that it's some sort of thing that I could either do as a hobby or a job, but it was something I'd always do. And years went by, and I had other jobs, and I didn't really. I got into comic books, and I was into movies. And right around high school, probably towards the end of high school, I watched Reservoir Dogs, the Tarantino movie, and I was like, oh, that's cool. And then something clicked. I was like, instead of just writing, maybe I could write movies and like make my own movies. And so some friends and I, we go and get like a cheap video camera and we tried to make our own movies, and they were just terrible. And basically, years went by, and I still writing a bit. I'd be writing screenplays. I never tried it. I just saw it as a hobby. I wasn't trying that hard. And some friends and I in 2007, we made this like feature-length action movie that basically went nowhere. And so I was kind of dabbling in it, but I never considered it something I could make money at. It was just something I would do in my spare time with friends for fun. And then around to 2012, my one friend and I, Adam, we started making our own comic books, and we actually started getting some traction into it. And honestly, I hadn't written a screenplay in years and had kind of given up on all that. But we started actually getting some popularity with these comics and making a bit of money at it. And then I was like, you know what? Like, I used to write screenplays. Now that I'm older and I have this determination and things are going well, maybe I should get back into that. So I got back into writing screenplays, and then I would just start pitching them. I'd look up producers online, and next thing you know, I started selling a few. And I was like, oh, okay, like maybe this is going somewhere. And then I was like, you know what? Like I used to want to be a director. Maybe I could try that. So I started directing these very cheap like web series things just to get it going. And it was working. It was like, okay, I'm selling scripts here and there, and I'm getting some YouTube views on my films. And I had a day this entire time. I had like a pretty decent day job, and also I got laid off like 2015. And I was like, oh shit, like now I don't have a regular income. But I was like, you know what? Like I'm making a bit of money from the screenplays and film. Like, what if I just jumped in full tilt? I had enough money, like enough employment insurance to live for like 6 months. So I was like, what if I just wrote like crazy and tried to do this as a living? If it doesn't work, I could always get another job if I run out of money. So I started taking it a month at a time, and I just started busting my ass, and it's a struggle working in the indie world, but that was 10 years ago, and here we are 10 years later, and I'm still going. I'm still taking it a month at a time. I'm not rich, and I'm always like 1 month away from being homeless, but I just keep working and making things and reinvesting the money, and then I've gotten to the point where it's like I've got a bit of a fan base. Like I'm living this dream that when I was young, I'm doing exactly what I always wanted to do. I figured I'd live in this big mansion in Hollywood, which didn't quite happen. But I'm doing the exact thing I wanted to do, and I'm making the kind of things I've always loved. So in a way, it's like I'm kind of loving what I'm doing.
Okay. So you could say that it started out as a passion, has always stayed a passion, but when you got laid off, it kind of became a necessity at that moment because it was kind of like do or die for you, make or break time for you, which I mean, obviously, it's definitely a make time. So
Yeah, and that's the thing too, is it kind of worked out that all of a sudden I had to write a lot.
Yeah.
Especially like this is in Hollywood where you make $1 million a script. Sometimes I'm only making like $1,000 a script or a few. So I couldn't write one per year. I had to write like one per month and still struggle.
Oh yeah.
But of course, if you write that much, you're going to get good because all of a sudden I'm writing and writing and writing and writing, always just trying to keep afloat. So I got a shit ton of practice in a short amount of time. And all of a sudden, I went from like no one would read my scripts to my scripts are in demand to people are approaching me to ask me to write them a script. And it's like every cent I got would be like, I would keep just whatever it is to just eat and pay rent for another month. And the rest would go back into like making another movie, making another short film, and then, or, just printing more copies of our comics or more copies of, I write novels too. So I'd write another book and print more of those and I'd sell those and reinvest that money and just kind of keep this whole operation going.
Oh yeah. So when you sold your first script, your very first one, what was that reaction?
Obviously, it feels good because I mean you could do anything as a hobby. Like you play basketball, golf. Like, you could do those things as a hobby, and they're fun. But as soon as someone like pays you to do it, that's a whole new level. Is it's like I went beyond, even though they didn't pay very much. But it's like someone sees something in me that they're like, I could profit off this guy. I could take things that this guy wrote, this thing he's been doing for fun since he was 5 years old, and make money off of it. And then it's like, yeah, it feels good. It's one thing. I mean, you can make your own film, which is great. Like you can write and direct your own film, but it also feels good to have someone else, like a third party, someone you've never met before, hears about you, reaches out to you, and it's like, we want to hire you to write our new movie. They could pick literally any other writer in the world, and it's like they picked me. So of course that feels good. And then when that happens repeatedly, all of a sudden you're in like that top 1% of writers, of screenplay writers who actually make money at this and repeatedly sell scripts. Like it's very, very rare.
Oh yeah. Uh, so let's talk about the first time that you directed. What was that experience, and what was the whole just like? Did it under like was it underwhelming or overwhelming, and was it like did it exceed your expectations?
It's never what you expect and it's different every time. And it's not like a job like, I don't like say like woodworking where you just like you use these tools and you follow this plan because you're dealing with people, you're dealing with circumstances, and it's just like, oh, what do you do if it starts raining and you're outside? Like there's always something that could mess you up that you didn't anticipate. And it's always like you want it just to be fun. Like when you dream about it, it's like, oh, I'm going to be, everyone dreams of being a movie director is like until you get there and it's like, oh, it's just putting out fires and dealing with problems and it's just like a lot of all the stuff you don't want to do and then the stuff you really want to do is only a small part of it. But I kind of directed things when I was young, even when I was a teenager. Like we'd make the videos on just we'd shoot them on VHS, and so I don't really count those. But when I really started doing it for real, I made a few episodes of a web series called Mental Case, and we shot them like super cheap. Like I was my own videographer. I was shooting it myself, trying to do my own lighting, which I wasn't very good at. But my first real short film was I'm in Love with a Dead Girl. That's the one where we raised a little bit of money and I hired a professional crew and we made like a real short film. And it was actually, fairly popular. And from then on, it was kind of like, okay, now I just like I hire people to do sound. I hire people to make the costumes and all that stuff just to get a better product out of it.
Uh, there's I'm looking through your you have a very large filmography. I mean, it's cool, but uh, I want to talk. We will get to what I would call the meat and potatoes because that interview, first and foremost, those two movies are phenomenal. We'll talk about those here in a bit,
Thank you.
but there's other things on this that I'd like to talk about, like the short "The Devil Made Me Do It."
The Devil Made Me Do It. Yeah, that was a short. When I first started screenwriting, I would just crank out these short scripts. I'd try to write them like in a day. I would like write it in a day, and then sometimes I'd leave it till the next day to revise it. And then I would put them up on Inktip or some sort of website, or I just search the internet for anyone looking for a short film, whether they're a student or whatever. And I would just sell them sometimes for like 20 bucks, 50 bucks. It'd be like, okay, that's power bill for one more month. Sometimes I'd sell them for 200 bucks and okay, groceries for the next month. And I was always just writing fast and kicking out these scripts just to stay ahead. And sometimes I'd start getting like 500 bucks and I get like 1,000 bucks just for these short scripts I write in a day. And it was like, holy cow. One of them was, it was very short called The Devil Made Me Do It. And Tarek, I can't remember the director's name, Tarek something. Uh, he's a guy I met in Edmonton. I can't remember I think he hired me to write a script, but he also read that script and he really liked it. So he went off and made it. He changed quite a bit. It changed a lot from what it started out as. He added his own kind of edge to it, which is what happens all the time. But it was just, and it's always nice to have other people making your stuff because even if I'm directing it, I can only do so many projects. So if I have other filmmakers all over Canada and the US and even overseas making things with my name on it, then it's like, yeah, I can just really my list of writing credits just shoots up because there's these things being made by other people. And then next thing you know, like if they continue in the industry, I now have that contact because we connected on that film.
Okay. Uh, so there's a short of the grotesque movies. We can me in the other interview we kind of touched on it a little bit. So how did you come up with the character, and what was the feeling of seeing that character come to life in the short?
Oh, it was great. Yeah, that's short. It's really it's like a fake trailer basically. Like we made that. We didn't have the money to do the whole movie, so we're like, let's just make a trailer for the movie just to get started and try to raise money. But yeah, like I think Elizabeth mentioned it, Elizabeth Chamberlain, who plays Mildred in Grotesque. She was on your show. She kind of said that like my original idea before I met her, it was going to be Mildred was this like middle-aged woman that was worried about aging, so she gets plastic surgery to look younger, and it gets botched. So she starts killing all these like young, pretty women that she's jealous of. That was the original idea. And it'd be kind of kicking around in my head for a while. But then after I worked with Elizabeth, I was like, oh, it'd be great to have her play Mildred. But of course, it doesn't work because she's not old. So I was like, well, what if there was a different reason? Maybe she just had some other disfigurement about her that she wanted plastic surgery. So I came up with the idea, oh, what if she just has a really long nose? And originally, you can even see the very first poster we made that's like her with a bandaged face and she's holding a knife. It looks much scarier than the movie is because originally it was going to be a serious slasher. But as I started writing the script, I started making it kind of funnier and funnier. And then Julie Whalen, my co-producer, and Elizabeth read it, and they really liked it. And the more we talked about it, we started just kind of adding more comedy to it until it basically became a horror, like a slasher comedy. We didn't intend it to be that, but that's what it turned into. But it was awesome seeing because Mildred is such like I mean I'm biased because I kind of helped create the character, but she is an iconic character. The way she looks, the way she acts, it's just I just love the fact that it turned out like that because it could have turned. I think if I went with my original idea, the movie wouldn't be as memorable. People would watch it and forget about it. But now that it turned into the thing it did, and Elizabeth did such a great job as Mildred, it's like we just created this character that like people are going to want to see more grotesque movies.
Oh yeah. Uh, I will say, I'm sure you've seen the interview, but both movies were phenomenal. I liked them
Thank
both,
you.
and my like we, I think literally 2 days after I had the interview with Elizabeth, I had some friends over and we watched both of them. So,
Oh, nice. Thanks for sharing them.
oh yeah. So with that character, and you're right, it's an iconic character. Like I think Grotesque. I mean, you have other movies that are out there that are like that, but I'm like, no, Grotesque is a number one. So, so with that character, what does the future hold for that character? If you can say anything, since I mean you created it, so
We do like obviously it comes up like every day amongst the higher universe grotesque team. Every time I run into someone, it's inevitable that part three is gonna get made. It's just difficult because like part two sort of got nearly killed me. Like it's so much work, and it's like we didn't put a lot of money into it. Like compared to Hollywood, it was like pitiful amount of money. But just for a regular person that doesn't have a day job, like and a lot of time, like I'm responsible for paying anything that we can't, like we don't raise the money for. So it's a lot of pressure on my shoulders, and even just trying to come up with $50,000, like it basically went on my credit cards, and it's like to be honest, like I can't keep doing that forever, right? It's like insane amount of debt, and we're not making millions of dollars at it because it's an indie movie. So we have to come up with a different plan to do part three because we just can't, like I can't do it anymore. I really want to do it, and I'm about halfway done the script. So it's like the gears are in work, or the gears are in motion. It's just, we could do a crowdfunding, but then it's like, well, what if we don't raise all the money? Then we're back to square one. So we're kind of in those talks now. It's like, okay, like we want this to happen, but how do we realistically make this happen? With this government grants we could try to get here, the Canadian government, but if we don't get them, then that it's going to take like a year or two to go through that process. And so I really want to make it happen, just like Elizabeth. Like I really want to see it happen. It's just right now, if we had the money, we could do it this summer. Like I could finish the script by in a few weeks, and boom, we could do it. It's just, yeah, it's going to be hard to do. And like, and as you see, like when you watch the movies, these aren't small movies with like three or four people. I think we had something like 240 people work on Grotesque 2. Like it's a huge team. The majority of them were working volunteer. Like if we paid them even minimum wage, it'd be in the millions that it would cost. We had to have people work for nothing because we just didn't have the money to pay everyone. Like I did it for nothing. So did Elizabeth. We basically just did it out of just the sheer fun of it. And we do have a fan base, but it's like, and I don't want to wait forever. I don't want it to be 15 years from now we finally get the money together. Like I want to do it. I want to do it this year, but like, it's just anyone who works in the indie film world knows the struggles. But there are future plans for Mildred. She does come back, so just keep anxiously waiting.
Oh yeah. Uh, so I know that when Elizabeth was on, we also touched on I'm Haunted, which I can actually say I'm 100% caught up on now, though. That which is good because I like that too.
Oh, thank you.
But I actually want to talk to you about Markings of Murder.
Yeah,
What kind of like what one was that one about, and kind of like what was your mindset writing that
that one that was produced directed by Jarvis Griner, who's directed some other movies that I've written. And yeah, Elizabeth stars in that one too. It's basically a guy who has a sleepwalking problem. He wakes up and he's been sleepwalking. He doesn't know where he's been, and all of a sudden people start dying, and all of a sudden he starts to think that, oh shit, I'm killing people in my sleep. And obviously that creates a problem for it. So yeah, that idea was not mine. I can't take credit for that idea. Jarvis, I believe, was the one that came up with that. And then he hired me, he gave me like an outline, and I wrote the script based on his outline. And then he directed, and Griffin Cork and Elizabeth Chamberlain starred in it. And I think it's been winning some awards. Like it turned out very well. Like, the cinematography is great on it. And yeah, Jarvis he's another filmmaker here from Edmonton, where Elizabeth and well, I guess Elizabeth is from Saskatchewan technically, but I met her here in Edmonton, and yeah, Jarvis is another talented filmmaker that we got here.
one? All right. So in Canada, because I mean, I've interviewed people in Canada, well, obviously because Elizabeth, but in Bulgaria and stuff like that, and everything seems to be different in every country. So in Canada, the movie making like laws or rules or just how is it easier to make a film in Canada than it is other places, or is it just as hectic and crazy?
It's it's kind of hard to say because I've never made a movie anywhere else, but just from talking to other filmmakers, I think it's easier and for what I do, it's easier. Like I'm in the indie world, especially here in Edmonton, because you go to the bigger cities like Toronto, Vancouver, it's kind of more like LA where there's a bigger business there, and they'll screw you for every penny to let you film. Where here in Edmonton, there's not a lot of film going on. So they basically like we would be like, hey, can we shoot in this park? And they're like, yeah, go right ahead. And we wanted to shoot in this cemetery, and where the city was like, yeah, just don't wreck anything, and like we didn't even have to like sign anything, right? They're just like, yeah, as long as you're being respectful. Whereas, my one friend moved out to Vancouver and he's like, they wanted $1,500 an hour to shoot in a city park. Whereas here it's
Jesus.
like zero. Because as soon as you go to a place like LA where film's a business, where here it's like it's not really a business. And we could, just talk to a bar, like the bars that we shot in for Grotesque and Grotesque 2, they let us film in there for nothing, just on a day they weren't open or before they opened for the day. Everyone's so helpful. Whereas you go to a big city, like more of the American cities, all of a sudden they want to take you for every dime they could possibly get, which is understandable. So in that respect, I find it a lot easier. Like people are like, "How the hell did you make Grotesque for that amount of money?" And it's like, well, we just don't have all the legal hoops to jump through that a lot of bigger cities have.
Uh, so in your writing style, I there's inspirations I want to say I can kind of see that you draw from, but I don't want to make that assumption because I've always been told that if you assume something, you're only making an ass out of yourself. So since I have you here, what are some who are or what have been some of your inspirations for some of your scripts and some of your films?
I have to say originally who got me started was Tarantino. Like Reservoir Dogs is the movie that made me want to start making movies, and Pulp Fiction and his first few films, like all my early scripts were blatant Tarantino ripoffs. And it wasn't, till I started developing my own voice that I'm like, okay, I got to stop doing that and not steal from other people. And eventually, like I almost started disliking Tarantino. Like I would say like I'm not a big fan anymore. I respect him, but it's just my tastes have changed. And I mean I like a lot of horror movies. There's a lot of even Stephen King. I like his books. I basically just kind of I don't like I may take inspiration from them, but I try not to like emulate their actual work. Like I'll be inspired by what they do and kind of how they do it. But I know a lot of writers do that. You'll read it and you'll be like, I can tell that you're kind of copying this other person. Whereas I try not to do that. And if I do it, it's accidental. So I try just to take inspiration even from like John Carpenter, Wes Craven, like the classic horror directors. Like I love those guys' movies and they're inspiring to me, but I'm not trying to copy their process, like their style.
Yeah. So with your writing style, again, just from what I've seen, it it seems well everything someone writes is obviously personal because you're personally writing it. But it seems like you put a little bit more character development in your movies than some of the other movies I've seen, but you also have just the right emotion, just like in Grotesque. Mildred is, you know, sweet and innocent at first, and then everyone's picking on her, and then all of a sudden she becomes this anti-hero, which I would call a hero. But
Yeah.
so with that is like, do you have compassion for the characters you're writing about, or is it just this is how you want this character to be because it furthers the story?
I would love to say that I put more thought into the characters and stuff, but I really don't. Like I find if you kind of slow down and start thinking too much about that, it actually like works against you. It actually makes like a weaker character. I think like if you just write something and I mean it sounds kind of cheesy, but you kind of like let it just come from like inside you somewhere, those things are going to come through if you have even the slightest shred of talent. If you just tell this really good story, those character things are going to come out. And then if you have a good actor playing it, you could like you can amplify things in revisions and then get a good actor to portray it. It's going to be like a very memorable character where you could just spend like days and days writing backstories for characters, all the stuff that you're supposed to do like in writing classes. And it's like if the story's going to be boring anyway, who cares what all that character stuff, right? It's and they talk about like making these 3D complex characters. But the thing is, like the movies that talk about those kind of characters, half the time you can't even remember the character's name or the movie. Like a lot of characters that are famous, like say Freddy Krueger or Bugs Bunny, like Mickey Mouse, Batman, like they're not really that complex of characters. They can be written complex, but they're just very simple characters. Like Homer Simpson, everyone knows who that is. I wouldn't call him a complex character. He just says and does funny stuff. But the thing is, if you just write the funny jokes, he becomes a very relatable character that everyone knows and loves. So even with Mildred, like she has a backstory. Like we've never even really mentioned her family or other than her sister. So we don't know very much about her. And I think if I had have explored her backstory more, I think her character would have sucked. It would have just made the movie boring to go into her history and all this other stuff. It's like, let's just jump into the story, explain as much as we need to make the story work. And then people love that character, even though you really know nothing about her.
Oh yeah. I'm actually in the same boat as you because 2 years ago, short, if you can indulge me for 1 minute.
Yeah.
2 years ago, 2023, I wrote a short script, a short story, you know? And I was like, cool, I'm happy with that. February 15th of this year, I woke up, I was like, nah, I need to turn it into a trilogy. So I wrote all three of them right
Oh,
in
cool.
one weekend, and of course my wife was like, who hates horror movies, by the way. She's like, well, I'm going to proofread this. I was like, go ahead, proofread it. She's like, you are a nasty individual because I mean, it's a horror movie and people die. But I get what you're saying. Like, if you go too much into character development, you kind of get that. It's what I did at first for the short film. Like the whole first 4 pages was one character story, and I'm like, okay, so now I got 4 pages of a story for a character, and now I got 2 pages of someone dying. I'm like, that just doesn't make sense.
Mhm.
So rewrote the whole thing. So I get what you're saying, and writers such as yourself, directors such as yourself, and just people who've been out there grinding and hustling and doing what they need to do. I got mad respect for you guys because at the end of the day, you guys are doing stuff that, in my opinion, is phenomenal. And I always say in every episode, Hollywood has taken a backseat to independent film because independent film, you get more emotion, you get more, adventure, horror. You just get what you don't get in Hollywood. So,
Yeah,
congratulations on doing some good stuff, my friend.
thank you. And I agree.
Yeah. Uh, I do want to talk about I'm Not a Robot.
Okay.
What's that story about? I'm all over the place. I'm sorry. I've been
That's
getting
no,
it.
that's fine. It was we I think it was 2017 or 2019. Earlier we did something we called a horror day where we filmed like five really short horror stories, horror like films in one day. And then a few years later we did what we called horror weekend, where we shot five longer horror shorts over like a long weekend, like 3 days. One of them was I'm Not a Robot, which technically isn't horror, it's sci-fi, but Elizabeth is in that one. And basically she's hired by this like AI company to interview two subjects and figure out which one of them is the AI. They both look human, but one of them's human, one's a AI robot they developed, and she has to like talk to them and figure out which one's which. So I think it's like 10 minutes long or something. And funny enough, like we made that like 5 years ago or something, and all of a sudden, just in the last few months, it's become my number one most popular YouTube video. Because I think there's some other movie with that same title that came out, like a big budget movie. It might have even gotten an Oscar or something like that. So maybe that's why people are searching for that, and all of a sudden my movie has the same title, so they watch it. There is, it's people always they say in the comments section on the movie that they figured out the twist ending. I never really meant it as a twist because I think if you watch it, you're gonna figure it out right away. Like it's kind of a surprise ending, but it's not really going to be a surprise to anyone. But it's just like a simple. I love like Tales from the Crypt. Like I love anthology type things where it's a short horror story with kind of a like a simpler story to it, a simpler point. So that's kind of what we were going for. It's just a short film we made that people seem to like.
Yeah. So is there one thing you prefer to do over the other? Do you like writing better than directing or directing better than writing?
Writing, I'm number one writer. Directing, I'd say I like doing it. It's just a different thing. If I had to give one up, I'd give directing up in a second and just be a writer. It's just I'm fairly good at it just through practice, and I just have it's like it takes a lot of drive to do it, and I'm just pretty good at kind of like wrangling the troops and getting it made. Whereas like I have other scripts, like I'd say even most of my scripts, like I've had scripts that I've sold to people, and then they just never get made. They just give up somehow, or it just never actually happens. And then I basically, it's like, well, they paid for the script, so I don't own it anymore. So I started writing in the contracts. I'm like, we need something like if you don't make this within 3 years or 5 years, I get the script back. Otherwise, it goes to waste. Because I probably have like 20 movies, like full movies that I've written for people, and then they can't raise the money or they just give up somehow and it never gets made. So it just takes a lot of effort to just have that drive and determination to get a whole movie done. And I seem to have a bit of a knack for that, and I kind of know what I want for my own vision, and I can make it happen. And I'm a good editor too, so I can like edit my own movies. Um, but it's a huge amount of work, and writing is my favorite. So yeah, movies like John 3:16 or Markings of Murder that we discussed earlier, that Jarvis Griner directed. That's kind of nice sometimes, is just to be able to write the script, which is my favorite part, and then someone else goes off and makes it.
Uh, uh, you've yeah, I hear it says writer, director, producer, editor, actor, cinematographer. I mean, you've done it all, my friend.
Of
You know,
course, my acting credits are me standing in the background, so I wouldn't really call that acting, but
well, sometimes I mean the background characters or the background scenery kind of makes a film what it is. You know, I mean, at
yeah,
least in my opinion. You know, but I know that you're the way you have kind of raced the film world and kind of like kept on track with what you were doing. Do you ever have to take a time to kind of like take a step back and rejuvenate, kind of, like just refresh yourself so you can kind of like take yourself out of it for a minute, or is it just straight nonstop go?
I wish I could, but it's like in the indie world, like I have to be doing something. Like this is my full-time job, so if I'm not doing anything, I'm not getting paid.
Yeah.
So it's not so easy. I got to be doing something.
Oh yeah.
Um, so I'm always working or at least planning something. And we have like I haven't really like we're in the middle. We just started filming I'm Haunted 4, so I'm kind of doing something again. The I'm Haunted projects are smaller in scope than the grotesque one, so it's not so much work. But we haven't done a lot since Grotesque 2 ended. So I have plans for stuff in the future, but I guess ever since the Grotesque 2 premiere last summer, it's been the longest or the closest thing I've had to a break. Where I've been writing, I've been doing other stuff, but I haven't been just pumping out the movies like I have. Just because I'm basically just exhausted from Grotesque 2. So I kind of took a bit of a break, but it'd be nice, if I had, 5 million bucks put away, that it's like, yeah, I could take a year or two off and not do anything and not have to worry. But when you're working in the indie world, it's like if I want to live in a house and eat during that time, it's like I gotta be working on something.
Oh yeah. uh so what advice would you give to people who are trying to get into the entertainment world, especially the independent scene, whether it be actor, director, writer, just anything at all? What advice would you give them?
It's like I wouldn't say it's easy, but it's easier now more than ever. And I tell people it's like if I can do it, like you can do it too. And it's easy, like you could go on Facebook, even how I met Jarvis, like the director I was talking about, he just posted on Facebook a few years back that he's like, I'm a filmmaker from Edmonton and I'm looking for scripts. Let me know if you have any. So I met him like, hey, I'm a writer. Let's meet for coffee. So we started talking. I showed him some of my scripts. He liked one, and then now we've been working together ever since. And it happens like so many people I work with. And it's funny too, because they'll ask me like, how do I get involved as an actor? And it's like just like reach out, say hi, and even most of the actors I work with, even people like Elizabeth and Julie, who are like my main team now, and they're like stars of the movie. They started either as like a background extra or like some sort of role where they weren't even talking. But I got to meet them face to face, and we talked, and then I remembered them. And then the next time they had like a bit bigger role, and then Elizabeth now she's playing main roles. So if you just come out and just be helpful, like especially in a place like Edmonton, and it's probably the same in any like kind of medium or bigger city in the US, there's some sort of filmmakers group. If you go on Facebook or any or Meetup or any sort of place like that, you could find a group of people that are doing stuff and just go out and meet them. And then you'll find it like probably like it is here. If you meet a few people, you work on one project, those people are going to be working on another project a few weeks later. and they'll be like, "Hey, are you working on this other guy's movie? Yeah, they need extras. Come work on that guy's movie." And then you kind of just start following people around, and you meet other people, and then sometimes one of your fellow actors is directing their own movie, and they remember you, so they'll cast you in that movie. And next thing you know, it's like 200 people working in the industry, and all of a sudden you can be involved in all sorts of projects. So it's really just getting yourself out there. Like most people that I work with just reached out to me at some point, or we'd be at an event and they just come up and say hi, and now I'm working with them. And it's the same way I meet producers, right? I just comment on people's posts on Facebook and everything, and just send them the odd message, and just so they're aware of me, and then just kind of build those networking relationships. And of course, another great way is to make your own film. Like I met so many people. If you make a film and then you post online, I need to hire actors and a cinematographer and a sound person. All of a sudden, those people are going to reach out to you because they all need jobs like the rest of us. Then make your film, and all of a sudden you met those people. Like my circle of friends has grown because I just started working with these people. We all became friends, and now it's I have this great network of people. So it's just about putting yourself out there. If you're just sitting there wishing and wanting to be something, it's like there's probably something being filmed this very weekend near you. So just get involved and start meeting people, and just be professional and be easy to get along with, and you'll probably get invited back.
Yeah. Uh, so I want to say that, you know, again, my hat's off to you because you've done what a lot of other people have tried to do, and kind of some of them have made it, some of them have not. Some of them have reached a certain plateau and just can't go no more. But you, my friend, have a firm standing at where you are. So I want to congratulate you on that because you're doing phenomenal work, like I said. And at least in my opinion, but I think that the future, whatever it holds for whatever project you do, I'm a fan, so I'm going to be watching. So
Well, thank you.
yeah. Uh, and I still stand by that a shirt needs to be made that everyone needs a little Mildred in their life. Yeah. But I said that to Elizabeth, and I was like, "Damn, that actually is a good catch." Like, I don't know. Maybe I'm just weird.
I'll try to
uh,
work it into part three.
oh yeah. So we're kind of coming toward the end of the show. I'm going to give you a few moments to plug your socials where people can or cannot reach out to you. That's entirely up to you. Plug where they can watch your movies, buy your movies, and just plug whatever you'd like to plug for the next couple minutes, my friend.
Yeah, I'm on. You can find me on social media like Instagram and Facebook and Twitter and stuff. If you go to YouTube, the Higher Universe is my company. So if you just look up Higher Universe, you can find the Higher Universe channel that has interviews, and it has movies on there. We're also on Tubi. If you just Google Grotesque or I'm Haunted, like we're on a whole bunch of like Apple TV and Tubi and Plex and a bunch of the main streaming platforms. So if you just Google my name or Google any of the movies, you just got to be careful because there's two other pretty famous movies called Grotesque. So the one you want is Grotesque 2022, and then Grotesque 2, made in 2024. Those are the ones you want. You're going to be able to, you'll see Mildred on the poster, so you'll be able to see that one. But there's been some confusion before between my movie and the Japanese movie. So, but yeah, I'm online. You could find me if you want to.
All right. Uh, so last question I'm gonna ask you is, where do you see yourself 10 years from now?
Oh my God, that is an insanely hard question. Even like, where do I see myself 1 year from now? It's so hard because I don't know. I don't know what the world's going to be like. I don't know what the industry is going to be like. Things are changing so much, and just it's hard. Like like streaming revenues are like going down, so you make less and less for your movies. But the thing is, I don't know like what's the next technology after streaming. It seems like it's like I can like is like you go from like DVD to streaming, but like VHS to DVD, DVD to Blu-ray, Blu-ray to streaming. But what can there be after that? Or is it just going to keep going down till finally there's so much content that streamers are like, you know what, we're not paying for movies anymore. And it's like, oh shit, like that could happen. Who knows? Like you see indie people complaining about that all the time. Is it like Amazon and Tubi? They used to pay a hell of a lot more, and it goes down and down and down. So if it gets to the point where it's impossible to make a living, like people stop doing it. But then again, if everyone stops doing it, that means there's going to be fewer movies. So if you're one of the ones making it, all of a sudden you have more people watching yours. So it's so hard to tell. I don't know what technology is going to be available. I don't know if my heart's going to be in it. Like my heart's been in it my entire life, so I can't imagine that changing. I want to be involved in it some way or another. But I want to write more books. I want to do more just different stuff. I'm really been getting into the found footage films lately, like the I'm Haunted series, because I'm Haunted is a very popular series. Elizabeth stars in that one too. And it's like, you know what? If we can make those for like 1/20th the cost of another movie and they're just as popular, well, it makes sense to do more of those. I still get to do something fun. People get to act. We get to make a cool story that people love, but we just get to do it easier and cheaper. Like I could just crank those out for fun and then, space the bigger projects out better as the money comes in. So I'm really trying to experiment with different types of storytelling and just kind of see wherever I feel like going and wherever the industry leads. I'll just I'll deal with things as they come, and I just want to keep telling stories, basically.
All right. I mean, that's an awesome thing because you're great at it. Let me tell you.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah. Uh, but I do want to take this moment and thank you for coming on. You've been a complete rock star. Uh, and I always tell everybody once you've been on this show one time, you always have a home with NC-17. You're more than welcome on here, plug your movies, talk movies, or even to say, Josh, you got a booger in your nose. Trust me, I clean it out every day though. So
Well, we got the plan is if all goes according to plan, where we just started filming I'm on it 4, and we're planning to do part 4 and 5 back to back. And I
okay.
would love to have them both released this year. So maybe when that happens, I'll have 2 new movies out, and then we'll have something new to talk about.
Oh yeah, sure. Hey, whenever they come out, man, let me know. We'll set up a show. We'll have you and Elizabeth on at the same time.
Yeah, that'd be wonderful.
Yeah. But I do want to thank you for coming on, and I'm going to say, everybody, please follow this man because he knows what he's doing. Follow Elizabeth; she knows what she's doing. They make great entertainment. They make great art, and they're just great human beings. So
Oh, thank you.
you're welcome. So yeah, we're gonna end it here. Again, I'll thank you for coming on, and we'll be talking to you real soon. And everybody, stay NC-17.
Thanks, everyone.